Hey everyone, it's David here. So I got asked a question on YouTube yesterday and I want to go ahead and answer this question. But before I do that, if you've not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. And if you like this video, watch it till the end. I'm going to give a lot of gold nuggets. I'm going to talk about script in this video. So let's go ahead and look at this question. My computer is still in the shop, so I am looking away from my screen as I read this. I apologize. I'm on my laptop. Hopefully my computer gets back tomorrow. I almost got a new one. I'm just not ready and sure what kind I want. My memory card went bad, so they're actually replacing that. I've had it for about 5 or 6 years now. Hi David, how do you deal with the 10% commission objection? I'm currently using your script almost exactly. I'm nailing the calls, building rapport, trust, etc. The minute things go south, however, is when they find out about the commission. I don't want to give you my money. I'm just going to do this myself. And then they hang up the phone soon after. Would really appreciate your feedback. Love the content, by the way. Thank you for your time. Okay, I could do a whole week on this, and I really appreciate this question. Like I said, I could talk about this and do video after video. I'm going to be real direct in answering a couple of these questions. Don't take this like I'm saying you're doing this. I'm just going to give you what you can and cannot do. And I'm going to, again, don't say, oh, he said I'm doing this. Don't take this the wrong way. First of all, when you're making a call, you cannot be focused on your commission or anything about you on that call. That call is about them. You're calling John Smith and you're letting John Smith know that he has money that he didn't know he had. And that should be the first part of your phone call, the first segment. You don't want to call and say, hi, how are you? How's your day going? How's everything going? Just get right to the point. This is David Church trying to reach John Smith. John, I'm calling you about the Bank of America account from 123 Main Street. I'm calling you about the check from that account. I'm calling you about a dormant check from that account, or I'm calling you about a closed checking account. Now, a lot of times if you call someone and they're in their 30s or 40s and they've moved and they had a checking account, they're probably going to want to retrieve it on their own. It happens all the time. Now, if you call someone in their 30s and 40s and they've inherited an account, they didn't know they had it, I find that those people mostly use my services. Or I just got a guy, the paperwork submitted in a few weeks ago. He was probably in his 60s and he had moved into a different section of California. He had some old retirement accounts and he just didn't want to mess with trying to get them on his own. You will find that. But again, how do you deal with the objection? So you educate them on the claim. That's the first part of the call. Now, I've had calls, and by the way, I have people that tell me they're going to do it themselves. What do I do in that situation? I say, great. Can I follow back up with you in a few weeks and just see how that's going for you? And then I pause and I see what they say. They have every right to want to claim it on their own. You are going to find that. What I do let them know is if you go with our services, we are licensed, we work alongside of the state, we do get people paid. We make sure, a lot of times there's billions of dollars in there, it's there for a reason. Paperwork gets misplaced, it gets lost, it doesn't get filed correctly. What we do is we call, we constantly stay on top of your case, we make sure that you're getting paid. Any extra paperwork that they need, we'll make sure we communicate that to you. And it's our job to kick them in the butt and make sure you get paid. As we see a lot of people try to claim this that don't get paid. Again, that is true, and I've seen that. You don't ever want to fabricate a false story. What you want to do is you want to stick to true data. You don't ever want to give false testimonies. What I just said is absolutely true. In a lot of places with unclaimed funds, if it doesn't get claimed within a certain time frame, it gets escheated to the state permanently or to the government, and I'll also state that as well. The quicker we get on this, the better. Now, if you're working in California, you don't want to stay in California because California will hold on to it forever. But what I do say is the longer it sits there, the harder it gets to claim. What we'll do is we'll get in, we'll file it. As soon as we get the paperwork, we'll file it. We'll stay on top of them, we'll make the calls, and we know it's you. They have to see you as an expert. So the first part of the call is you're just educating them. Then you let them know your services. With your approval, I could show you what the agreements look like. I can email those to you this afternoon and get a notary out to you. Once we get your approval, we can move forward and start getting you paid. Now, if they still stay on, we're going to do it ourselves. Okay, great. I'd like to follow up with you in about 3 to 4 weeks. And even if they say not to, I still do, because if it's still showing in 4 weeks, they haven't put a claim in. Actually, I think right now California is like 45 days processing. They're 45 days out. So you might want to give it like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. And just put it in your CRM. Call back, and if they say, I'll just say, hey, this is David from RN Recovery. I talked to you a couple weeks ago. I noticed that it still hasn't been processed yet. Just want to make sure everything was okay and you're not being given a bad time. And if they say, yeah, everything's fine, I'll just ask them a question. I start getting making them feel a little uncomfortable. Why, if you don't mind me asking, why is it still sitting there? Why hasn't this been claimed yet? And if they come back with, oh, I haven't gone to it, you got to realize a lot of people that you're dealing with are procrastinators. And when I say procrastinators, There's tens of thousands of dollars that's sitting there that belongs to someone. They haven't claimed it. Why haven't they claimed it? And they're procrastinating. So you have to sometimes call people. I just got a deal right now, and it was one of the best deals I've ever got. It was a stock. It's a $260,000 claim. And the lady was like, oh, I'm going to make sure you get 10% of this. You're awesome for letting me know about this. I've talked to her on the phone probably at least 6 to 7 times. And you're going to have to follow up with people. You're going to have to build that rapport. Again, you don't want to be calling people and having this big old long conversation with them, but just going and saying, hey, it's David here. I'm just working cases. I noticed yours came across my desk. I noticed it's still here. It's my job to get you paid. I came across this file. I would love to go ahead and move forward with you and get you paid. It'll cost you nothing. I know we've spoke a few times. This will cost you nothing out of pocket. Once funds are received, this is total contingent. In recovery will get 10% of this. Do I have your approval, or do I have your permission to go ahead and proceed and move forward with this? And if they say no, keep on calling back. I've had to talk to people sometimes 6, 7 months before I've gotten a claim. Meanwhile, you're working new claims. Meanwhile, when you build this pile of claims, I'll be very surprised if you don't have in your CRM claims that start coming through. 2 weeks ago, I actually was so busy, I had no new deals that I called that week, which I hate. I hate it when I don't work deals. However, I got 2 deals that had reached out to me that I'd called, that I'd been making contact with, that got me the paperwork I needed, that I was able to turn in and get them paid and get paid in the process, which was awesome. You want to build that pipeline where you have new deals and you have old deals that you're working, and you have to be able to follow up. Think about it when you buy a car. Like when I bought a truck, I went and I was in California. I looked at 3 or 4 car dealerships before I actually pulled the trigger and made my final decision. Or when you buy anything that's big, how often do you look at it? You're gonna have to build that with the client. And again, I could talk about this like until the cows come home. I could keep on talking about this. Just make sure you're building that rapport. I've seen people, I know people who have been told F you on the phone. They literally get that from their client. They call their client back a few days later and they've gotten the deals. It's how aggressive do you want to be, and have that sense of urgency. Don't fabricate a story, but have that sense of urgency. A lot of times funds get misplaced in the process. People get lost, they get shuffled. If you work with us, we're licensed we work alongside of the state. We will make sure that you get paid in the process. We'd love to show you this. Do I have permission to go ahead and email you just what the paperwork looks like and show them? Very seldom at that point do they start going around you, but it'll happen. I mean, I had a case about a year ago where I spoke to the nicest sounding old lady in the world, and I'm like, wow, I mean, you picture grandma making cookies for the grandchildren. This was a scenario of that. It was on one of my live cold calls, and I wasn't getting the paperwork back. And when I followed back up with her, then I went in the state and I looked up the documentation. It had already been claimed, and it sucked. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. She said, yeah, she told me she'd do it. She told me to get her the paperwork. I had everything ready to go. I got everything ready. You will have disappointment in this business. You know, what's interesting, and I'm not talking about all the latest crime rates. They've always said that Walmart, the thefts in Walmart 10 years ago would have been its own Fortune 500 company. That means the amount of people that have stolen from Walmart is enough. That would be a top 500 Fortune company. That just amazes me right there that happens. Yet Walmart still stays in business. So I know there's a lot of chaos going on. I know they've just moved out of, I think it was Portland. They just moved out. I'm not talking recent. I'm talking about times past. You're going to have disappointment. Nothing's going to work perfectly in every business, and you have to know that going into it. You're going to have people go around you. You're going to have deals that don't come through. You're going to have deals that don't pay out, but you're going to have deals that pay out. You're going to start raking in some cash, and you're going to make this business work. Last thing I'll say is everyone I know in this business who has worked it, all of them have had some sort of pushback. It happens, and you're just going to have to push through that and get moving on it. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Give me a like, and I'll see you around.